A tall tower. When the world was new, all people spoke the same language. They had one word that meant hello, they had one word for hungry, and one word for tired. They could talk to each other and understand each other. One day, while they were talking, they got an idea. They said, "Let's make some bricks and build a tall tower. Let's build it so tall that it reaches heaven. Then everyone will say that we are the greatest people in the world." But God did not want them to build the tower. He saw that they were selfish and proud. So he gave each person a different language. Now, when one man spoke to another man, all of his words sounded new and different. The people were mixed up. They could not understand each other. They could not cooperate anymore, so they stopped building their tower. They called the unfinished tower Babel because God confused their language there. A new land. There once was a good man named Abraham. God had a special plan for him. God told Abraham to move to a new land. So Abraham left the place where he lived. He packed up everything he had, his tents, his dishes, his clothes. He gathered all his animals, and he went to the new land that God showed him. Abraham's wife Sarah and his nephew Lot went with him. Abraham and Lot also brought along helpers to take care of their animals. But there was a problem. Abraham's helpers and Lot's helpers were always fighting with each other. Abraham said to Lot, "Let's not have all this fighting. You take your helpers and choose a new place to live, and I will take my helpers and move to a different land." Lot chose first. He took the best looking land for himself. It had plenty of water and grass for his animals. Abraham moved his animals and his family. He set up his tents near the big trees at Hebron. God made a promise to Abraham. He said, "You will have so many children and grandchildren and great grandchildren that no one will be able to count them. And all the land that you see right now will be yours." Abraham was sitting by his tent one very hot day. He looked up and saw three men standing nearby. He was happy to have visitors. He hurried to them and asked them to stay for dinner. Then Abraham ran to his tent. "Quick, Sarah," he said, "get some flour and bake some bread. We're having guests for dinner." Sarah made a good dinner for them. While they were eating, the men said a very surprising thing. They said, "Next year, you and Sarah will have a baby boy." Now, this was surprising because Abraham and Sarah did not have any children, and they were too old to have a baby. Sarah was listening in the tent. She heard what the men said and she laughed. She did not believe them. Then God said, "Why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord?" And God kept his promise. Even though Abraham and Sarah were old, God gave them a baby boy. They named him Isaac. When Isaac was grown, Abraham wanted him to get married. Abraham called a servant. Abraham said, "Go back to the land we came from. Get a wife for Isaac there." The servant took 10 camels. He traveled a long way. One evening he came to the town of Nahor. He stopped by a well. He asked God to help him. He prayed, "When the girls come to get water at the well, show me the girl you want for Isaac. Let her give me a drink, and then let her give my camels a drink too." Down to the well came a girl, carrying a water pot. Her name was Rebecca. The servant asked her for a drink. She gave him a drink. Then she said, "I'll give water to your camels too." The servant thanked God. He knew that this was the girl God had chosen. He gave her a ring and 2 bracelets. That night he asked Rebecca's father if she could marry Isaac. Her father said yes. So the next day, Rebecca went to Abraham's servant. Isaac loved Rebecca. Rebecca married Isaac, and they had twin boys named Esau and Jacob. Isaac grew to be an old man. His eyes could not see anymore. he called Esau. I want to give you a special blessing so you will be a leader, he said. Make me some of my favorite food, then come back and I will bless you. Rebekah heard what Isaac told Esau. Now God had told Rebekah that Jacob would be the leader. So Rebekah wanted Jacob to have the blessing. She made Isaac's favorite food. She covered Jacob's arms with goat skins so he would feel hairy like Esau. Jacob pretended to be Esau. He took the food to Isaac. Isaac felt Jacob's hairy arms. He thought Jacob was Esau, and he blessed Jacob. Esau was very angry when he found out that Isaac gave Jacob the blessing. So Rebekah sent Jacob away for a while. Jacob walked and walked. When it was night, he stopped to rest. He put a stone under his head for a pillow. While he was sleeping, he had a beautiful dream. In his dream, he saw a ladder going from the earth into heaven. Angels were going up and down the ladder. God was standing at the top. God said, I am taking care of you. I will be with you wherever you go. When Jacob woke up, he said, Now I know that God is with me. He took the stone he had slept on, and he stood it up. He called that place Bethel. He left the stone there to remind him of his dream. Jacob traveled far away to his uncle's house. He worked for his uncle, taking care of sheep. While he was there, Jacob got married. He had 12 sons. Jacob's big family lived on his uncle's land for many years, but Jacob wanted to go back home. One day, Jacob packed up all his animals and his family and everything he had. They traveled all the way back to where Esau lived. Now Jacob was afraid that Esau might still be angry at him, so he sent presents to Esau. He sent servants who said, Please don't be angry anymore. But Esau wasn't angry. He ran to Jacob, he hugged and kissed him, and he was happy to see his brother again.